What's up, YouTube? This is Ribo at the bench, and today I'm doing another Spyderco head-to-head. Today comparing the Delica 4 to the Para 3 lightweight. And before I get started, just to say I did not cut my finger with a knife. I always feel self-conscious when I have a cut on camera, but I was cutting metal piping yesterday, and I ended up slicing it on the burr end of one of the cuts. So there you go. All right, so why am I comparing these two knives? Well, I've said in the past that a lot of people view the FRN Chaparral as the Delica killer. It makes sense in some ways, but I tend to disagree. I think that they are fundamentally kind of two different knives, or at least they are to me. And I much more see these two as competing, and I see this as potentially being the Delica killer. Why do I think that? Well, for one, price. They're within about $20 of each other, maybe even less. So you have around $78 at last check, around $91, $92 here. So they're within the same ballpark on price. They are very, very close in size. The Para 3 lightweight is obviously the larger knife, both in length, the blade size, the thickness, etc. I'll do some comparisons of that in just a little bit. And then you just have a very similar knife, right? So both of these look like they are made to accomplish about the same thing. You have a back lock here, you have a compression lock here, but you can see they're very similar knives, similar price, and so that's kind of where I'm coming from. All right, so here are the categories. So we have pocket clip, scales, overall size, which considers height, weight, width, how does it carry in the pocket, etc. Ergonomics, the action detent, which is just, how enjoyable is it to open and close, that kind of thing. The blade, steel, lock system, this is a back lock, compression lock, and then the intangibles, which is just, what knife am I reaching for when I'm reaching for a knife? Which knife, when all of the different factors are put together, which one works the best, in my opinion, and like I say every time, or I try to say, or I should say every time, this is a totally subjective review. This is just my experience. I've carried both of these knives a lot. This is kind of what I think about each one. So let's get some measurements out of the way. First up, the Delica 4, and remember I have a different clip on this than comes standard, but my Delica 4 comes in at 2.2 ounces. My Para 3 lightweight with the lanyard over here comes in at 2.5. Double check that. 2.4, just kidding. So 2.4 and 2.2, very, very close. Do some quick measurements here, if I can get this over to inches. All right, so in terms of sharpened blade length, you are looking at about 2.6 here and about 2.62 here, so very, very close in terms of sharpened blade length. Closed in the pocket measurements. So let's see, widest point on the Para 3 lightweight here, 1.6 inches. Widest point on the Delica, you're looking at 1.45, 1.46. Thickness on the Delica, you're looking at 0.39 inches compared to 0.45, so a decent bit thicker on the Para 3. Total length in the pocket, 4.28 compared to 4.26, so pretty close there. I think those are all of the measurements that really matter. All right, so let's get into the head-to-head. So number one, pocket clip. So this one's gonna be an easy win for the Para 3. So I've got a wire pocket clip, very deep carry, probably in terms of the Spydercos that I own and even the knives that I own, probably the best deep carry clip that I have. I love the wire clip, I love a deep carry clip. Not a big fan of the spoon clip on the Spyderco Delica 4. It's a fine clip. I liked it much, I guess a couple years ago before I had experience with the wire clip, but things have advanced. I don't think it's a great clip, hence why I put this clip on here. But comparing the two stock knives from Spyderco, wire clip is an obvious winner. All right, scales. So you have FRN scales on both of these. You have just two different colors here, but oh, there we go. It's always great to hit knives against each other. Perfect. But you have the what do they call this? Bidirectional texturing, kind of the Spidey web FRN scales. Really, not a big difference between the two. I think this one's a little bit more aggressive than this one is. However, with this one, you are getting a wider scale. You're getting a lot more texturing for a few reasons. One, if you look at where the pivot screw and the different screws on the knife, you have this kind of flattened out bits right here on each side, up and down. So you have 4 kind of flattened out spots plus this. On here, you don't have that, and so you just have the texturing right up until the screw. And so because of that, and because this is a little bit larger knife, and because you have a smaller logo on this one, you're getting a lot more texture on the Para 3 lightweight here. And so that's something where you're going to get a little bit nicer grip when you're picking up the knife. So I'll give the advantage to the Para 3 lightweight there. All right, overall size. So like I said, this is a larger knife, and it has a little bit bigger blade, more so in terms of the thickness of the blade than anything else. But I'm going to give the overall size here to the Delica. Delica tends to disappear in the pocket. Para 3, just because of this kind of larger hump here, a little bit thicker, you do definitely notice this in the pocket a lot more, at least I have. It tends to kind of bulge out in the pocket, not uncomfortably so, but just so that you notice it, whereas the Delica, at least in my opinion, kind of tends to disappear a little bit more. It's definitely thinner, lighter, etc. So I'll give overall size to the Delica there. Ergonomics. I mean, you can look at this knife and tell this is the more ergonomic knife by far. There's nothing absolutely wrong with this. I think I've said this in the past. You don't have a forward finger choil like you do with a lot of the modern Spydercos. But you do have some nice contouring here, some nice hand spots. With the Para 3 lightweight, you just have a little bit more contouring, and you have a forward finger choil, room enough for all of your fingers, absolutely no problem there. So definitely give the advantage to the Para 3. Action detent. All right, this one's an easy one. This is known as like the fidgetiest knife of Spyderco, right? The compression lock, especially on a lightweight knife like this. This thing is just really a lot of fun to open and close. A lot of, confidence every time you open it. Nothing wrong with the back lock at all. You do have a little bit of blade play. I've said this before on the Delicas when you're opening them up. You just have less metal on here. The chaparral is pretty solid. This one's very satisfying to open, but I mean, how can you vote against the compression lock on a Spyderco? So I will not. So the advantage to the Para 3. Alrighty, the blade. So very similar blade size. Wow, can't talk. Very similar blade styles. You have a very, very similar blade between the two, almost the exact same sharpened length. But you have a little bit wider blade here. You have a good bit thicker blade. I can do a quick size comparison on that. Let's do that in millimeters. Zero this guy out. So back here, we're looking at 2.3, 2.4. Back here, we're looking at 3.5. So not insubstantial. You can see the difference there. Much thicker blade here. I do like the Delica 4 blade a little bit more for 2 reasons. One, the thinness makes it a much better slicer. And you have this nice cutback right here on the blade, which I tend to like and it may be placebo effect, but to me, it makes the knife less brittle right here at the end. I don't know if that's really true. That's been my impression of it. And so the Delica 4 has a very nice blade. It's very slicey. I would almost give the edge to this one, but I'm going to, again, give the edge to the Para 3 just in the fact that it is about the same size, and you're getting a much thicker, beefier, and wider blade. So while it does lose a little bit of the smoothness of kind of gliding through things that this one does, you're getting a much stronger blade here, both in lock, but also just, thicker blade, still a nice grind on it. And so, I'm going to give the advantage there. Steel also goes to the Para 3. You have CTS BD1 in here and VG10 here. A lot of people are not a fan of Spyderco's VG10. I have no issues with it. I do have to sharpen it quite a bit. I want to say I just sharpened this guy recently, I think. You can kind of see that. No chipping, anything like that. CTS BD1Ns, it's almost like a kitchen knife steel. Have had no issues with it, no rusting, anything like that. It's kept a pretty sharp edge. You can obviously see I've been cutting through some boxes and packages. Got some kind of residue on there, but I'll give the advantage to the CTS BD1N and the Para 3 there. All right, lock system. Again, we're going to go to the Para 3. So you have compression lock versus back lock. Back locks, I think, are always going to have a tendency to have a little bit of blade play left and right. Your strength is really coming up and down from the back lock here. But you just have the strength of the scales here, which are plastic in this case. Back lock's perfectly fine. It's not going to fail on you really unless you get something in there to gum it up. So no issues there at all. But the compression lock is just an engineering feat. It's very fascinating how it works. And you have kind of strength coming from all sides. Very, very strong lock. And so I'll give the advantage to the compression lock there. All right, so obviously not really a tight race at all. The intangibles, intangibles is going to go to the Para 3 as well. Now, this knife was in my pocket for many, many years. I think it's a fantastic knife. While people complain about the price, and I certainly understand that does not mean that the knife itself is not a good knife. It may not be a value knife. It might not be a good value. But it doesn't make it a bad knife. It's a fantastic knife. It's been a great knife for many years. It will be for many more years. When I bought this, I remember a buddy telling me, hey, that knife's probably going to outlast you. And I think that's absolutely the case. That was a really failed Spidey flick there. There we go. So it's a great knife. However, the Para 3 just kills it in every category. Now, these are, not the same price. You're paying a little bit more for this, but you're paying what? $12, $13 more for this. You're getting a bigger knife, a better lock, a wider blade, thicker blade, better steel, better pocket clip. What else? More ergonomic. Is that it? Yeah, I mean, that's a good bit, right? So you're getting a lot more for your money here in terms of value, but you're just getting a better knife here. I mean, all around, this one finds itself into my pocket a lot more than the Delica does now. This one has lasted me many years. It's a great knife. Have no plans to sell it. I think it's a fantastic knife and would be happy to recommend it. But if you're looking at which of these is the best, and you're looking at the same rough price point, the Para 3 dominates the Delica. They're roughly equivalent in size. They're roughly going to feel the same in the pocket, although the Para 3 is going to be a little bit more noticeable. But I think that when you put the two side by side, it's absolutely no contest, which is why I say the Para 3 to me is more of a Delica killer. If you have $78 to spend on a Delica and you look up and you say, oh, for 12 bucks more, 13 bucks more, I can get better everything, upgraded every piece of this knife, then, who's not going to go and get a Para 3? And so that's what I think. So head-to-head winner, Para 3, both great knives. Hope you've enjoyed this Spyderco head-to-head, and I'll see you next time.